Okay, so yeah, we know the vertex to graph this. Pick some points to plug in.
3.
Yeah. 0 would be a good one. Yeah, plug in 0. What do we got?
4.
4? And then on the other side you get 2 as well. So remember what we're doing is, that's ugly. There. What we did is we're building this T-chart. The vertex is always in the middle. And then when we pick some more points, such as 0, we get an answer of 4. But if we go 1 the other direction, which would be 2, we'll also get the same answer. So we have this symmetry about graphing. So it's the same thing on either side of the axis of symmetry here, which is 1. So it's the same thing on either side of the 1 here as well. We get the same answer. Let's plug in -1 or 3. Let's see what we get there. You get the same answer, right? Because it's going to be symmetric. So plug in one or the other, see what we get. What'd you get? 10? All right, so there we go, 10, 10. So we know it's right here, and we know it's right here. Okay, so before we draw the parabola, we have to be careful of something. What is that? Okay. You might recall, depending on the inequality sign, it might be solid or a dashed line. So in this case, a solid line underneath, usually it means solid line when you graph. So if there's no line underneath, that means it's not a solid line. So this time it's going to be solid. Oops. Google points. There we go. And make sure it's curved at the bottom and the ends are slightly going outwards. It's not straight up and down. So once it crosses through the points, it goes through it. Okay, it doesn't go straight up from the point. It keeps on going outward. Now the question is, where do we shade? Where do we shade? And how do we know where to shade? So it's greater than, but a good idea is to check 0, 0. If we plug in 0, 0 and we get something true, we know we shade there. If we get something false, we know we shade the other area. Because there's two areas. It's either inside the parabola or outside. So if we plug in 0, 0 for x and 0 for y, let's see what we get. Okay, so 0 is greater than 2 times 0 minus 1 squared plus 2. Okay, simplify the right-hand side. Let's see what we get. Okay. What does it come out to be?
4.
4? All right. Is that true or false? 0 bigger than 4? Nope. So that's the wrong area to shade. So that means we have to shade over here. Shade everything here. Okay. So not too bad, right? How many roots does this have? How many? So I'm hearing that roots are x-intercepts, right? Where does it cross the x-axis here? Nowhere. So there are 0 roots. So if we did the quadratic formula, we'd end up with a square root of a negative. There's no solution here. There's no solutions. I'm throwing in some other review for your test as well. Things to think about, all these quadratics. Alright, so now you get the gist of this. On the back, I think. Yeah, they're in standard form. So the first thing you want to do on the back is put them in vertex form. So we have some review embedded within. Alright, so let's go through and do a little completing the square. And what do we get if we complete that square? So what do we got to add? 9. And then to even it out, -2. So that 7 is equal to that. Okay, good. Let's go ahead and factor the first 3, the perfect square trinomial we created, which equals x minus 3. Good. Bring down everything else. Okay, is that it? What's next? Good. Distribute the 2. One more step. Yeah, if we forget that step, we're going to say the vertex is at 3, -2 instead of 3, -4. So every little step counts, and remember that this is y greater than. Alright. Now we're ready. Let's see here. 3, 4, right? Or, yeah, okay. 3, -4. 3, -4. Plug in some points. So I want to plug in 2 and 4. Okay, should get the same answer when we do that. Also going to try to plug in 1 and 5. And should get the same answer when we do that. Of course, we only have to plug in 1 of each, so probably the smaller numbers, plugging in 1, plugging in 2 would be the best way to go there, right? Alright, so I'll let you guys do that for a second. Let's see what you get. And you can plug it into either your new vertex form here, but if you wanted to, of course, you could plug it into the original. Sometimes one might be a lot easier than the other, or, I mean, these aren't too different, but it's personal preference. There's no right or wrong, because these two are equivalent to each other, so either works. Let's see here. And plugging in 1, I'll get 2 minus 12 plus 14. If I plug in 1, 2 minus 12 plus 14. So 2 minus 12 is -10. -10 plus 14 is that right? -10 plus 14 is 4. So that goes way up here, huh? Oh, 1. Okay, that's what I was confused about. Plugged in 1. So that goes right here. 1 and 5. Yeah, so we got 4. And what do you get when you plug in 2?
-2.
Alright, so -2, -2. Very good. And yeah, that clears the parabola. Alright. Go ahead and draw the parabola. But what do you got to be careful for? Yeah, so dashed. That's the thing that gets us. We're so used to drawing that just regular parabola, we forget. There you go. So yeah, too often this is the thing that keeps a test from being 100%. get a lot of 100% on this test. It's not that easy, but it's very familiar, and there's lots of ways to check your work. But it's easy to forget the solid dotted thing. So once you're finished with everything, okay, go back and check that one more time. All right, where are we going to shade? Again, there's some visual ways of doing this, but I always like to be safe and just plug in 0. And plugging in 0 when it's in standard form is pretty easy. So we got 0. Is that greater than 0 minus 0 plus 14? No. So 0, 0, which is right here, is not in the shaded region. So that means, once again, it's everything here. All right. So lots of practice with the graphing, converting vertex form, doing a little t-chart. Okay. We could take this a step further and actually solve for the 2 roots. Find out exactly what these are. You know, look like radicals, so it's not going to be some nice numbers, so we can solve for those as well. Or maybe they should be 2 and 4. Not sure. 2. Yeah. Okay. So we'll look at this more tomorrow, and then I'm going to hand out your review right now in case you finish. You can practice more for homework. That way when you come to class tomorrow, you have questions, as opposed to getting the review tomorrow, working on it, finishing it when you get home, and then realizing you have questions when you're at home. Just remember for like 9, if there's no plus or minus on the bottom, you just need to do I on top and bottom. But when you do have the plus or minus on the bottom, that's when you have to multiply by the conjugate. You have to do a little bit more work. And recall what happened right here is that I squared equals -1. So once I get I times I, just substitute in with a -1, and that takes care of it. Yeah, I noticed on the homework some of these with the adding, subtracting were a little more difficult. So practice them. Make sure you can do them by yourself. You're transitioning to a test-taking state of mind, right? So practice doing things on your own, and then check. Whatever you do not get all the right answers from somewhere, from somebody, and then say, how come I didn't do well on a test? Right? Don't want to repeat history, right?